I need you to do what I ask you to do. There you go. All right, so I think this is probably going to be a short one tonight. um, Again, I'm just sort of playing around with finishing up the projects I set myself this week, having a little bit of fun, but also in the midst of doing some planning for. Hope I'm in the right space for this to be able to pick me up. I'm also doing some planning for the coming months. So I'm looking at plotting out a trip to California. I'll be stopping in Mississippi and Louisiana on the way, and Oklahoma too, I believe. Get to California and network with some creators out in that area before heading north to Alaska. And I may be changing up some of my plans. I don't know if I'll do any of Canada this year. It seems a shame to be passing through a lot of that area without actually stopping by and networking with the people there, but I don't know that I have time or the resources right now to pull off what I need to do in the next few months. I'll have to really, really consider it. Yeah, so it's not ideal, but it'll be what it'll be, I guess. It's sort of like getting a feel how the next month and a half go. Because if they go all right and I'm actually better off financially than I thought I'd be, then maybe I'll be able to pull off some of that work. But I don't know. Getting out to VidCon, I have hopes that could get me going in certain directions. And I want to try to get some stuff done before I do that so that I have something to show and work with other creators on. So it's not just sort of like, well, I have this idea that I'm going to do in a few months when I figure it out. Like, no, I'll have it right there. Here's the template. This is what I'm going to do. Are we ready to go forward with something like this? That's my hope. And so part of that is getting the sound and the visuals for my channels in a better state and kind of going from there. The other thing I've had to do is I have had to replace my computer twice in the last 2 years. Last year and a half. And now I'm having to replace my phone. Because it's an old enough phone that it no longer works on the networks. The network that I use for my phone use, they're changing away from a system that's supported by the type of phone that I had. So I got a discount on a replacement for it, and so it has some capabilities, and it's definitely an upgrade. Like, it can't not be an upgrade. I believe that phone is 5 to 8 years old, and it was not top of the line when I got it. It's the cheap end of the spectrum, but it's met my needs. I think one of the things I'm probably going to do is when I get the new phone, no replacement for it, that'll become my primary, and I'll transfer all the accounts over to it, and that turns my current cheapo little smartphone thingy into something I can't make calls or surf the net on, or even text, I believe. But it can still take pictures. I can still transfer those pictures from it to my laptop. It can still record some simple audio effects. And it can be used as an MP3 player. And I think there are potentially one or two other uses that I could put it to. So before I switch over to the new phone, I need to optimize it for its secondary uses. So I got to figure out what it's going to become when I get the before I switch everything out. So like pull everything off of it that I won't need it, like a lot of those app stores and all that other garbage I don't need. Eliminate it, free up space on it. Go through the photographs and video that I already have on there. Pull off anything that I'm going to be using. clean it out to the point where it's just going to be a camera for pictures. They're not going to be high quality pictures because I think it's like a 1 to 2 megapixel camera on it. So it gets enough that if I'm walking through a store and I see an object, I'm like, oh, I should look into purchasing that. I can take a picture and I know what it is when I look at it later. I've sometimes used it for a few pieces of artwork that I saw that I went, I don't have my camera with me, but click, got that so that I can refer to it again. It's going to be smaller pictures. If I were to set them up in here, it would be a picture within picture because their quality probably isn't even up to like the webcam on my laptop here, which I think 480, 450, something like that. So like it'll be able to take some simple pictures and it'll be able to take some simple video and it'll be able to store some music and some sounds, maybe some podcasts. So I could use it as a listening device for podcasts or recordings. Might even be able to use it for reading some simple things or stuff like that. It's not a great display for reading on, but so I'm going to transfer that over. One of the things I'm looking at doing while at VidCon is it looks like they're doing a workshop on how to use a smartphone only in order to run a YouTube channel. So that may make some possibilities for videoing while I'm out. I'll have to see what the result of that is. I mean, I'm still going to have to face the fact that my only options are likely to be public Wi-Fi, and that's not always a good option. But I will do what I can and see where that goes from here. I built up the list of workshops and panels that are supposed to be running at VidCon. So I've literally right now just built out a list of like, okay, so for every hour that the con is running while I'm there, here are the hour by hour breakdowns of the higher priority ones for me. There are a few others that like, well, maybe if that one doesn't pan out, I'll go to this one. But for the most part, I just left it to the top priority ones. Now, that doesn't mean I'm going to be attending a different panel every hour of every day that I'm there. I remember last year, they also had some meet and network with other small YouTuber kind of gatherings, and that would be far more valuable to me than say like a panel that's special effects that you can do for your editing or stuff like that. I want to see those things because I think, for future projects, those are potentially valuable ideas, but it's not high priority. The networking is much higher priority for me. So I've got that list worked out. That's sort of the plan I'm working on right now. I need to do some digital artwork for my channel here. So like a lower third, a splash image for the opener. I want to work on the jingle in the next couple days for this channel so that I can have, like when I do a book, I can do the little montage of me reading with a little bit of the jingle in the background and then the splash for the name of the channel and the book we're doing that week. And then swap over to the regular channel with better background, like with this mic being used, with this camera potentially being used, a better backdrop, and maybe even just subtle background music to not leave it sounding so hollow and dry. And then, work on my other channel too. And then That's really like the point of doing the music this week. That and learning how to do it, because I do want to play with it more. Getting a sense of the things I can do with it, and expanding my capabilities. I mean, I had fun with the cooking. If I did a little less intense, but use that approach for some of my other projects, I think we could have a lot of fun. I also think I kind of want to include a sort of like a collaborative template. So like if I meet some people at the convention and then we're like, yeah, why don't we cross collaborate? It's not just sort of like, let's do this. It's more like, okay, so when you have a chance, here are a series of questions or things that I wanted to talk about. If you could send me clips of a video from that, and I will send you clips of what I'm doing here, and we can split that whole process between the two of our channels as a back and forth collaboration. Like if I have basically a format that they can just jump on and do, then that's way easier. Yeah, that's sort of like a lot of the stuff that I've had to work on today has unfortunately not been as much of the having goofy fun with the sound effects. And I tried, again, I couldn't find a really good squeaky old door today. And I went looking for bubble wrap after hearing the bubble wrap file. And I couldn't find, like, I swear I had some. I can't remember what I did with it. And I couldn't find it at all today. I couldn't find it at all. And so we used to have one with like the little tiny bubbles. We had one roll of it with the regular bubbles, and then we had a roll with like really big honking ones like that. And I feel like those give a more resounding poof. And if I could do that in a slightly echoey space, potentially setting the microphone inside a can to get an additional tone change on that explosion, and then taking that sound and stacking multiples on top of one another. So you have, say, 3 to 5 iterations of that, some of them slightly stretched and some of them slightly contracted, and then just stack them and put some reverb, a slight reverb on it, but not like a wet reverb, like a drier reverb. I think playing with those sound profiles, if I can get that, and I may have to feed it through LMMS. I may have to turn it into an instrument, just the sound of a small explosion, turn it into an instrument and get it to play a couple different notes. That might work better. And then give it a little bit of reverb. Now, it'll be interesting to note whether or not harmonic or dissonant notes would make a more realistic and interesting explosion sound or not. I'm kind of curious to see if that, because an explosion is an abrupt, sharp, distinctive sound. So I almost feel like using dissonant notes that just don't belong together in a chord, might be the better way to do it. You'll get a tone that sounds chaotic. Because a detonation is not a harmonious, synchronized set of sound. And so if I set a couple of notes and maybe even skew them so that they're not perfectly lined up, different notes that are on dissonant tones, I think I could probably, like, playing around with that, like the musicality of an explosion might be a fun little experiment. All right, so we're on 11 o'clock. I know I got here late tonight and I'm leaving early, but that's sort of the nature of the beast right now tonight. I'm sort of chasing a few too many things across the spectrum of the world right now, and I am going to call it here tonight. I think this is a fair update of what I'm working on. I don't have much to show tonight, so I'm going to save it up for tomorrow and Friday. I hope I have the right day of the week. I'm not sure what day of the week it is right now. I'm all over the place. I'm still trying to figure it out. All right. See anybody tomorrow, I guess. Yeah. Tomorrow at 10:30. Good night. Go there and stream. Yep.